Good morning, Longhorns.
Good morning.
Thank you. We are so pleased to be here with all of you today with so many colleagues and friends and folks doing incredible work. We're going to talk a little bit this morning about some of that incredible work, and then we're going to kick off on a day of interaction with our colleagues to learn about some things that are happening on campus and also best practices. So pleased that you're here. I'm so excited to welcome you today to our second Student Success Symposium. How many of you were at the first one last year? Raise your hands high. Was it worth your time? You're back. We're really happy to see you. So this is going to become a mainstay every single semester. The point here is that we want campus to have a chance to interact with each other and to also have an opportunity to learn from each other. There's so much incredible work that is happening in our colleges, our schools, our departments, across campus, and y'all are a little busy. So sometimes we don't have the opportunity to sit with each other, to share with each other, and to learn from each other. So we're going to make some dedicated time, and I really appreciate that you all are here because you all are some of the busiest people on this campus, and yet you found some time. So we're also going to hear today a little bit about where we are, where we're going, and how our continued partnership and collaboration will be necessary for us to get there. It really is encouraging to see you all here. So let's get started. So we're going to celebrate today, we're going to talk about the future, and we're also going to talk about some things that we need to continue doing. So bear with me. I have to advance the slides. So in 2019, we saw several hundred more students cross the finish line. So many of you were at graduation, you saw how excited our students were. I also just want to call out one thing that campus has been really focused on, and I'm just so thrilled and just excited about the work that's happening with our first generation students and the way that campus is honoring our students and their accomplishments and their commitments to themselves and to their futures. So you all may know that, many of the colleges know this, all the colleges did some sort of recognition of our first generation students at graduation last year, and also DDCE sponsored a first generation graduation ceremony. So these are really incredible changes for and impacts for our students. So because of the support from all of you, we have reached a record high first year retention rate. So 95.7%. Big deal, right? The reason this is a really big deal is that we also brought in the largest freshman class we have seen. This campus served a very large freshman class. Did anybody feel it? It's incredible, it's impressive, but it's mostly impactful for our students and the kind of experience that they had. So congratulations to everybody in this room, and thank you for the work that you're doing. So if you think about that, as our incoming class size grew, not only did our rates of retention improve, but we also had a decline or decrease on the number of students on academic probation. That also is big. That takes the work of our students, it takes the work of all of you. It's a collaboration with our students. This particular feat is unmatched by our peers. If you look at our colleagues across the country, larger class sizes usually mean a change and not in the positive. So that's really impressive. Our 5-year graduation rate is now at 85%. So this may not be widely known, but just a little over a year ago, just before we started the last fall semester, campus leadership said, we're really excited about focusing on 4-year graduation rates, but what about 5 and 6 year? What are we doing? All right, you all have been doing a lot. But our 6-year rate is now the highest that it has been. And one of the most remarkable things I think that we want to be thinking about is that our 5 and our 6-year rate are almost the same, right? So that means that if our students stay to their 4th year, they will graduate. We're seeing impressive and incredible impact. So those numbers are pretty clear. We can tell our students to stick with us, stay your 2nd year, your 3rd year, your 4th year, and you'll graduate. These are really important and amazing accomplishments, and we know that every single time one of our students graduates, we impact with them their lifelong trajectory in their workforce and the impact that a degree means on upward mobility. This is important because, as you know, one of our president's top priorities is unlocking student potential and upward mobility. You all play a significant role in that every single day. I also want to call your attention really quickly to this on your table. Now, we will be producing some more information for you all to hand out, but this is just an excerpt and an edited version of the press release that went out. I want to call your attention to some things that are really, really important for this campus. Not only our student success, you all should have this at your table, and if you need more, we have them. But I want to point out that we're working on making some improvements and changes across campus in our student populations. You all know that there's been a significant amount of work that's been done over the past 2 years to focus on the recruitment and retention of some of our targeted cohorts. So our first generation students, our low income students, our African American students, and our students of color, our students for whom we continue to have a gap. We're seeing that close. But I want to call your attention to this because this fall, our undergraduate student population of African American and Black students is 5.1%. Last year it was 5%. So it's a small change. But for the first time in 10 years, folks, last year we crossed the threshold of over 2,000 African American or Black students in our undergraduate student body. We have sustained that for the second year in a row. So for the first time in over 10 years, we have the largest population of African American and Black students on campus. The same thing goes for our Hispanic students. We have the largest population of Hispanic students on campus. Those are not things that are going to get a billboard, right? Because we hit 5% last year, we're at 5.1% this year. But I just want to share how important the work that you all are doing is to our students. When our students choose to come here and they receive the experience that we said they would receive, and they have the opportunities that we said they would have, that changes how students see this place, it changes how students choose this place, and it impacts the experience for all of our students. So I just want to call that out and again say thank you. You all play a significant role in that work. So we've also made incredible strides, as you know, in our 4-year graduation rates. We do have some room to grow, but today we want to celebrate the work that we're doing, right? Our first generation students are graduating at just over 60% in 4 years. Our Pell eligible students are graduating at just over 60%. Our African American students are now graduating at 58.2%. That is almost a 60% increase since this campus started its student success efforts. Impressive, impressive work. We have work to do, but it also is something that we should recognize is the work of our students. We are enrolling incredibly talented, bright students, and they are demonstrating to us that when we provide the support for them and the opportunities for them to take full advantage of their educational opportunities here, they do. Our Hispanic students are graduating at 62% in 4 years, another record growth in a short period of time. ULN, so our University Leadership Network, reached a graduation rate of 63% with the 2019 class. So again, we're closing the gaps across these populations on campus. We're going to talk more today, as I said, about some of the work that remains. You all know that the work remains, but we can't underscore how important and how impactful this work is. So we so appreciate it. I just realized I probably didn't tell you all who I am if you don't know me. Sorry. I'm Rachel Hernandez, Senior Vice Provost for Enrollment Management. So I'm just so excited to share all this with you, and I'm so excited that you all are here. Just know that this is work we're going to continue to champion. So we're really excited about this. We also have a lot of student stories that we can share with you, and I know Cassandra's going to get more into this later on. But I want to share a quick story, well, a couple quick stories. So we have a faculty member in the Department of Psychology who reached out to us and asked advice about how to help a student who had to withdraw for non-academic reasons, how they could return to the university. And you're going to hear more about this. On the schedule today, there's a session about leavers. Are you all familiar with the term leavers? Or if you are, could you just raise your hand? You're not going to get called out. Okay, so about half of us are, half of us are not. For the students who leave campus and don't re-enroll. When we talk about our 4, 5, and 6-year graduation rates, and we talk about the improvements we're making, many of the significant improvements that we're making in our 5 and 6-year rates are when we can help a student come back after they've left for a semester, and we can make it easy for them to come back. So student success is going to talk a little bit about some of those efforts. But this particular faculty member brought this high-achieving student to our attention. The student had been through a lot. Health issues, a car accident, a parent with cancer. Have you all heard any stories like this from our students? Life happens, and our students are dealing with it every single day. So after the student's parent passed away, they needed assistance to figure out how to re-enroll, right? Just like anything else, we think the steps to re-enroll are there are folks to help. Imagine, and y'all have been through life events, imagine a student who just went through some major life events and is trying to figure out how to get back on track. Importance of faculty, the importance of every single one of you, right, in that experience. So together with this faculty member, with admissions from a re-enrollment perspective, student services, student emergency services, and student services for students with disabilities, the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid, and the student's academic department. We just heard a campus, right? A network of people who are interested in supporting our students. The student returned to campus this fall. It takes a village. And that's what folks did for that student. So here's another student story. Does anybody know the student? Several people do, okay. So sometimes it just means that, just for students to be successful, sometimes it just means an opportunity to see their future and to see the possibilities. So this is Sabrina. She is a Texas 20 Asian Studies major from Fort Worth. And she wanted to study abroad in South Korea, but she didn't think that her family could afford it. So she tells the story when she talks about her experience of learning that she could, that it wasn't just a dream, but it was something that she could do. She attended a leadership speaker series on study abroad that had a panel of students talking about their experiences, how they managed study abroad, how they were able to afford it. She says that finances were her main concern, but she was amazed at how easy it was for her to find free money through scholarships. So after this panel was done, she went to talk to the student. And then through ULN, and how many of you have ULN interns in your offices? Everyone, right? So many of you. This particular student got an internship in the international office. See where I'm going with this? So she knew that she wanted to study abroad, and she worked on her essays, and she obtained her scholarships, but that ULN internship connected her not only with the possibilities, but also the folks on campus who could support her success. So Sabrina studied abroad. So now, on to what y'all do as colleges. So those two student stories are among the thousands that we have on campus, the thousands that you all have when you're thinking about the work that you're doing and impacting the lives of your students. Every single college and school has made a significant impact. And we know that the efforts that you all are taking and undertaking improve our four-year graduation rates every single day. So let's go through some of the accomplishments of each of the colleges. So, School of Architecture. After sitting at 68% five-year graduation rate, and remember architecture really is a five-year program, they now have a five-year graduation rate of 76.8%. That's remarkable. McCombs. Business. So they've been doing a lot of work with student success. They've closed the gap between their 5- and 6-year grad rates, with 95% of their students graduating in 5 years, and 95.8% graduating in 6 years. It's remarkable. So communications. They again have improved, once again, their first-year retention rate, in particular for first-generation college students. This puts them within 1.5 percentage points of closing the gap completely between first-gen and continuing generation students in the first year. It's remarkable. College of Education. The College of Education's 6-year graduation rates have jumped 10 percentage points between the 2013 and 2014 cohorts. 10 points. From just under 81% to 90.8% 6-year graduation rates. That's remarkable. Cockrell. So in engineering, we've seen a steady climb in the 4-year graduation rates. They've hit 62% this year, and they are within range when we look at their pipeline of students to closing the gap between Cockrell and the overall university graduation rates. Fine arts. Fine arts Pell students have surpassed the non-Pell students in first-year retention. The Pell students have a first-year rate this year at 95.6%. Remember, largest class that we've had as a campus, the Pell retention rates in the College of Fine Arts are higher than the overall. Geosciences may have a small entering class, but they continue to graduate their first-generation students in 4 years at 70% in 4 years. Again, that's really remarkable. The College of Liberal Arts continues, this is really an exciting thing, to exceed the university's 70% four-year graduation goal. It's closing the gap between the 5- and 6-year graduation rates, with only 2 points separating the 5- and 6-year graduation rates. And I just want to spend a minute really quickly to talk about the 5- and 6-year. We are graduating more people in 5 years than we used to. So if you think about that, what that does for a student is it shaves off an entire year of costs for tuition, for living on campus, and it kickstarts their opportunity for earning and professional experience. It kickstarts their opportunity to enter graduate school. I know you all know this. We just don't have a lot of time always to get together and talk about not just the work that you're doing. You can see it in the numbers, you can see it in your student faces, but when we think about the future of our students and the impact that we're making, again, it really is remarkable. Natural sciences continues to graduate over 70% of their students in 4 years. Again, remarkable. In the College of Natural Sciences, the first-year retention rate for Hispanic students continues to rise. You know this. It's at an all-time high of 95.4%. Again, last year we had more Hispanic students than we had previously. This year we have more, and one of the largest colleges, and they're increasing the retention rates of those students. Our College of Nursing, the School of Nursing, so 4-year graduation rate has been improving steadily, and they jumped, and this year their graduation rate was 75.8% for School of Nursing. Remarkable. For social work, this college has been working really hard to improve its 4-year graduation rates, and they had a 4-year graduation rate exceeding 80% again. It's remarkable. And they've also closed the graduation gap between their Pell and their non-Pell students. These efforts are making a significant difference for our students. In UGS undergraduate studies, we've seen an improvement in the 4-, 5-, and 6-year graduation rates in the past year. And in UGS, we've seen a change with Pell students. They're being retained after their first year at 5 percentage points ahead of other UGS students. So I'm going to challenge you all right now. We've been talking a lot in our space, as I'm sure you all do, about asset mindset and deficit mindset. And one of the things I think all of this work is showing us is that, yes, our students who come here are so talented, they are so high achieving, and frankly, the truth of the matter is they can go anywhere. The same students that we're enrolling receive offers routinely of admission to Harvard and to Yale. Certainly any other campus in Texas, they can go anywhere. And long in the rhetoric, even in the literature, you would see that a first-gen student may be at risk. A Pell student may be at risk. Folks, the students who come here who also share the identity as being a Pell student or a first-generation student are students with incredible talent, incredible potential, and you all are demonstrating that these students, yes, they could go anywhere and succeed anywhere, but we're putting a line in the sand and we're saying these students will come here and they will be successful at Texas. So I'm going to challenge all of us. When we talk to our colleagues across campus and someone uses the phrase at risk, we take a moment to pause and talk about how incredible our students are and how together with our students are making things happen and they're achieving. When we hear someone say, well, We took a chance on this student, this first gen, this Pell student. How many people in this room are first gen? How many people were a Pell student? I was. All right. You understand the impact that you have and that you will have and continue to have on the world. Think about who you want to be filling your seats in the future. Our students. We want our Texas students, our leaders. So I would just issue a quick challenge to all of us to remember that our students come with a whole host of assets that make this place really strong. And together with us, they are demonstrating that they're not at risk for anything except for the potential of not having the opportunities that we need to provide them. And they're certainly not someone we're taking a chance on. They're somebody we're investing in because of their potential and their potential to lead. So just real quick, a challenge. So before we move on, I also want to recognize the campus community who is so important and so connected to the work that we do. Because each of you in the college and schools are making such a difference. You're working on this every day. Our colleges and schools have committees. We have university committees. But you're thinking about how we should be supporting our students. And you're doing this in partnership with several offices on campus. So I do need to acknowledge the support and the work and the efforts of the Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. There's a lot of work that they're doing. There's a lot of work that's happening. Many of you have been following the series that they're doing with first-generation students. Hidden curriculum, helping students understand different things on campus that a lot of folks who are continuing generation individuals take for granted. Lots of really important support to make sure that these high-achieving students can achieve their full potential because we're giving them the opportunities and making sure that they have the opportunities that they deserve. And also the Division of Student Affairs, I want to say thank you for their support, for their program, for their efforts. Our orientation program has gone through so many changes. You all have worked with them, and they're doing a phenomenal job, the first year experience. And we also want to recognize some of the work that the Division of Student Affairs is doing. They're cutting the ribbon on their new UT Outpost. How many of you are familiar with this work? Yes? So as part of their efforts to address food insecurity, which is a real issue on college campuses today, a very serious issue, and also to continue to expand the clothing closet for students, professional clothing closet, so our students are prepared for their interviews and have the same opportunities as all students. So our colleagues in DDCE continue to do a lot of work, as I said, with first-gen students, including the implementation of the first-gen kickoff weekend, also the work that they do with our new Black Student Weekend, the Adelante, the Latinx Community Celebration, the Block Party for our LGBTQ plus students, and also many more. So there's a lot of folks on campus who are really committed to students. But I just want for you to know it takes a village, and everything you all are doing is so important. So important. You'll hear from some of these partners today. We've got a first gen session, so you can hear a little bit about that. But I just want to say thank you. I don't know how many times, again, we don't always have the time, like we said earlier, to meet and to convene with each other. We don't always take the time to say thank you. I know your students thank you when you make a big impact, but for the students who don't get the chance to say thank you, this matters. It matters to their family. All we have to do is walk around during graduation time and see the pictures that are being taken by our students and their family members. All we have to do is go to one of our cohort graduations and see all the families who are there. It matters. It really matters. So congratulations. Simply put, the amazing work that's happening on campus happens only because you have helped to change the culture. You have put our students first. You have put their success first. So thank you. The symposium that we're having is really a public recognition of the work that you're doing and an opportunity to share, but we should take time to celebrate. And then we got to get back to work. So we're going to talk about that today. So I just wanted to share some of the great things that were happening, and thank you all for coming together. So none of us are resting on our laurels. We're all working on the future and what needs to come next. The campus, as you know, just made a significant change with the Board of Regents to expand our financial aid. So I have to tell you, if you had come into my office just 2 years ago in the fall, you would have seen on my board this dream that we had for a financial aid program that would guarantee aid based on AGI. And we launched it, as you know, just last year with the support of the president and the provost and the university community, the Texas Advanced Commitment. A lot of folks said, why did we start just with an adjusted gross income of $30,000 a year? So there's a simple reason for that. We started with that because we could do that. And one of the things that we know about financial aid and affordability is that our students and our families need stability. They need to know year to year what kind of aid they can receive and they can count on. And we knew that if we started with up to $30,000 AGI and up to $100,000 AGI for some additional funds, that we could do something a little different than other campuses across the country. And one of the nuances that is different, you hear about all these promise programs, they're great. Our particular program does not change year to year if a student's family income goes above. So imagine a family who received the Texas Advanced Commitment Funding because their state grant or their Pell Grant didn't completely cover tuition. But the next year, so they were awarded last year, this year, their family income is $30,500. At other institutions, frankly, they would lose that aid. The way our program works is it's a 4-year commitment. So the student gets it. They can count on it. And when we implement the new program next year, which the Board of Regents and the President figured out a way to fund by creating a new endowment, our families who have an income of up to $65,000 AGI a year, who receive some funding to cover that tuition, they will continue to get that. And our families who have incomes up to $125,000, so our middle income students, I'm looking at Tracy over here and our folks in One Stop and Financial Aid, Trina Guard, I see y'all. We know those are our families who struggle a great deal, right? Costs money to send a student to college. We all like to think that every family has planned to pay for their students to go to college. Is that the case, folks? I'm looking at our financial aid table. No. So this is really important for our families to know that they can count on this aid. This is a significant student success investment from this institution. And I couldn't be more thrilled about the way that this has played out for our students and the way that it will continue to support our students. And when we talk to our high schools, just to give you some context, there's a high school that our Office of Admissions went into a few weeks ago. And the first thing they said, it's an underserved, under-resourced high school, and they said, our students go to A&M. A&M has a program for low-income students. And we got to say, do you know about the expansion of Texas Advance? Conversation changed. So it's not going to be quick, it's not going to be overnight, but our families need to know that we're invested in their success, that we're focused on affordability, that we're looking at affordability from the perspective of the family, not just from the institution, and that the university's committed. So that's an exciting change. We're not resting on our laurels, nobody is. We've got One Stop coming up, and they're going to talk about the program later today, so you can hear a little bit about that. And also today, one of the things that I'm really excited about, and I hope you are too, is that there's a session for us to talk through a reflection. Cassandra's going to really focus on why this is so important in just a second. But we're really looking at and diving into what the barriers are to continuation. Our philosophy has to be how we can make it as easy as possible for our students to get here, to stay here, to remain enrolled, and to graduate. So Cassandra's going to highlight a little bit of that. But you all will have a chance, if you attend that session, to workshop what kinds of things prevent our students from continuing their enrollment and graduating. And I'm confident that we have the minds in this room to solve those problems. Our motto, right, is what starts here changes the world. When we're graduating our students at the rates that we're graduating them, we are ensuring that the state of Texas, and the country for that matter, because this is our population center of the country, right, has the leadership that it needs to see us into the future. That's the impact you all are making every single day. And I just want to say thank you, because you have put Texas on the map in a space that says, yes, we are a top institution. Yes, we are an AAU, all that great stuff. But here, students matter, and we're proving that out every single day. So it's my pleasure now to introduce Cassandra, Dr. Cassandra Alvarado. And I just want you all to give yourselves a round of applause, because you deserve a thank you. You also need to know that we're here, we encourage you, and we are thrilled to partner with you on all these incredible outcomes you're achieving. So thank you, and welcome, Cassandra.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cassandra Alvarado. I'm Executive Director of Student Success, and I am so thrilled to welcome you all here today. As Rachel mentioned, this is the second in what will be a semi-annual Student Success Symposium, and we're really thrilled that you've joined us. I love sharing breakfast tacos and information, my two favorite things. And we look forward to inviting you all to the stage for Spring 2020 Symposium to share your efforts, your wins, and your successes with this audience. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But I'm here today to talk about our goals for student success moving forward. And a lot of our focus has been put on the 70% four-year graduation rate goal. And I'm really, really proud of the work that's been done so far to achieve this goal. In pursuit of a number, I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the reasons we're pursuing this goal. And that's our students. So we took the opportunity to ask some students about what student success meant to them. Let's take a look.
I see college success as meeting many new people, making so many different connections here, and that's what I've started doing from like day one here, is joining different organizations, different clubs, because for me, I envision myself getting my degree, but that degree wouldn't mean too much to me without making, you know, a bunch of memories, connections, friends, lifelong relationships that I can cherish for the rest of my life.
To me, I would say that to be successful after college, I would have to have a job lined up prior to graduating. That's how I know that I did college very well, because that means I've done an internship and I've networked and done a great job at the internship and hopefully get offered a full-time position with the company.
College success to me is the ability to cultivate the mindset that you want to live the life that you want to live, not the life that other people want you to live. By the time you graduate, not necessarily knowing what you want to do, but having something to aim towards. So for me, when I interview for jobs and such, and they ask me the question of where do you see yourself in 5 years, I used to answer, oh, I want to be a financial analyst, I want to be a CEO, whatever it is. But that has sort of kind of changed throughout the years as I've realized I know that my path can kind of change within a moment's notice. So now whenever I get asked that question, I say I want to be successful. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why, but I know that's my goal. And I'm going to try everything that I can to pretty much figure out how I'm going to get there.
It would be finally being happy with what I have accomplished, and that whatever happens in the end, you will be okay. Because I've learned the hard way that sometimes things don't go as planned, and that although it's all this hard work, that hard work might turn into something different, something even better than you expected. So I would say for my college success, it would be just being happy that I finally made it to where I wanted to be.
Isn't that powerful? It's a very, very real reminder that when we talk about numbers and percentages and grad rates, behind all of that is a very real human being with dreams, ideas, and ambitions that are all their own. And as we continue the efforts of what we're calling Student Success 2.0, we cannot forget this living, breathing experience of our students. At the core of our student success efforts must be a reminder that our students have complex, human, adult lives, and they're navigating an increasingly complex world with increasingly complex demands, those same demands that we all face. And let's face it, not everything at this university was built with students at the center. But if we're going to help students achieve their success, we must rethink our university with students at the center. We must rethink our policies, processes, and the reasons for how and why we do the things we do. And we must be mindful of the fact that for many of our student populations, there are systems of historical and structural oppression that we must actively work to dismantle so that all of our students have an opportunity to graduate in a timely manner. So what does imagining and reimagining a university to be student-centered look like? I want to tell you the story of my own experience as a freshman. And apologies to those of you who've heard this story before. I know I've been telling it for many years, but I think it's appropriate to our student success journey. I think many of you know I also have my undergrad degree here from UT, so I'd like to set the scene. Picture this. It's a blazing hot August day in 1992. I'm new to campus, walking the route between my buildings before classes had even started. I thought I was doing pretty well overall. I mean, I could find my way to and from all of my classes, as long as I went to the tower to and from all of my classes. I couldn't quite figure out how to get from point A to point B without a stop at the tower, but it was really easy to walk out of a building, look up, look for the tower, and walk to the tower, and then magically I could somehow find my way back to where I needed to go. So I was walking home from the tower to my residence hall. I had just come from picking up this beauty, my new ID, from Gregory Gym, where we used to go pick it up. My social security number is whited out there. We used to put social security numbers on our ID cards. So I'm walking from the main mall down towards the South Mall, and the unthinkable happens. I tripped. And this was not just a stumble. This was full-blown falling down the entire flight of stairs. The entire flight of stairs from the main mall down to Inner Campus Drive. I landed on my hands and knees, backpack flew in one direction, campus map and my ID flew in another direction, and in that moment, I wanted nothing more than for the sidewalk to open up and swallow me whole. But suddenly, I was surrounded by all sorts of people. Fellow students who I hadn't even noticed on my walk were suddenly by my side. One student picked up my backpack, another one my campus map, another one found my ID card, and another helped me to my feet. 2 students offered to take me to the Student Health Center to take care of my very bruised and very bleeding hands and knees. And in that moment, everything I had heard about UT, that it was a large, cold, heartless, ruthless, cutthroat university, was wrong. And you're laughing now, but that's exactly what I had heard about UT before coming here. And this entire community rallied around me at the moment as I hobbled to my residence hall to nurse my wounds and my ego. Now imagine if we thought about student success the same way I experienced UT's community in that moment. I wasn't made to feel badly or stupid for having missed something. In this case, it was the top step. But for many of our students, what they've missed is an email or a deadline. I was greeted first with compassion for what I was experiencing. I was offered help, lots of help that I didn't even know that existed, like the Student Health Center. And I was offered connection. Someone who I didn't even know handed me their phone number on a scrap of paper. We didn't have cell phones with us back then. Handed me that scrap of paper and reminded me that I wasn't alone. And if I needed something later, this person, this random stranger, Sarah Kay, who I will never forget, who handed me that piece of paper and said, "If you're not okay, call me later," reminded me that no matter how big the university felt at that time, that I was going to be okay. I felt like I belonged, that I mattered, and that I was seen, even if I didn't want to be seen in that moment. So now I'd like you to play along with me for just a minute. Let's take advantage of the space that we're in to think about student success that we want to create here. So close your eyes if you're comfortable. Take a deep breath and imagine for a minute what UT might look like if the approach that those students took with me as I fell down the steps was the approach we took for thinking about student success. So for now, let me tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking of a few things. Something that Rachel already mentioned. Acknowledging that we have some of the best students in the country and that we're lucky to have each and every one of them choose us. As Rachel already mentioned, our students are being recruited and admitted to the best institutions in the country, not just our public research flagship peers, but also private institutions and the Ivy League. That hasn't always been the case here at UT, but it is now. And evidence from our peer institutions suggests that our students perform extraordinarily well at those schools. And in fact, they graduate on time at higher rates than here. We could also imagine a world in which we don't just acknowledge but believe that those bright and determined students we admit are capable of succeeding here and that all of our students benefit from our supports. At our peer institutions, students take 15 hours every semester. Our students are bright, motivated, and capable of taking 15 hours, and the data support that students who take 15 hours perform better than the students who take 12, even when controlling for pre-college experiences. And yet, the belief that our students would be better with fewer hours persists, even though our own data contradict that. We know that the costs for taking longer than 4 years to graduate are ones that the majority of our students can't bear. And we know that the number and support and scope of supports available to students has quadrupled since the mid-90s, when 12 hours was the norm and our persistence and graduation rates were lower. We could also imagine a world in which keeping students on track for timely graduation does not mean that students have to be perfect. We know that students drop courses, change majors, struggle, and yes, sometimes they miss deadlines. Who of us can say we've never missed a deadline or forgot to read an email in our entire lives? And yet we hold students to that standard, a standard that most of us, I certainly for one, can't say I have met. What we do know is that the vast majority of students who do not graduate in 4 years could have gotten back on track for timely graduation with a little help and compassion. What if, instead of demanding perfection from our students, we built grace and compassion into our systems, like proactive outreach to students who drop a course with a timetable for getting back on track and financial support to do that, like reaching out to students who didn't register and saying, "How can we help you?" Reaching out to students whose life circumstances make continuous enrollment challenging and saying, "We're here and ready to welcome you back." It could also mean just learning our students' names and encouraging our faculty to do so in their classes. The things I listed above aren't just dreams or ideas. We actually know they work to help students be successful. So let me share a few examples. As many of you know, UT has been part of an 11-institution, multi-million-dollar grant from the U.S. Department of Education to study academic advising efficacy. The MAPS grant has some promising results even before the 4 years of student participation in the study are over. And research from the MAPS grant, both here and nationwide, suggests that proactive advising and use of 4-year degree mapping has a statistically significant impact on credit efficiency and timely graduation for students in the treatment group versus the control group. And thanks to work led this summer by the Office of the Registrar, we're closer to having a 4-year interactive degree map for every degree at UT. The MAPS grant also studied use of proactive advising dashboards and texting, two promising technologies for which the UT Austin MAPS study team was awarded the National Academic Advising Association, NACADA, Outstanding Use of Technology Award. And later this year, my office will be standing up a Center for Advising Excellence to share more of these best practices learned from the MAPS grant and to continue growth of the amazing works of advising excellence found in pocket all over campus. There's a breakout session later this morning to share more about the MAPS grant's results so far. And research from our Completion Scholarship Granting Program suggests that just a little bit of help, a little nudge, can help students across the finish line. We've provided more than $175,000 to students to help them graduate or stay on track for timely graduation. In fact, the requests for completion scholarships have more than doubled in the last year. And here's a chance to hear from some students in their own words about the power of completion grants.
My name is Daniel Chavez.
My name is Jamal Fielder.
My name is Valerie Wimes.
Going to UT was probably my my biggest dream. And
I remember when I first heard about the University of Texas was in the 8th grade.
I started college like at 16.
And from then on, after 8th grade, I always told myself I'm gonna make it to the University of Texas.
I walked in the spring of 2017, and I was about 3 classes away from graduating, all of which I was going to take at a community college. I
wasn't going to be able to pay for my last semester in school.
Come to find out that one of the classes that I took at the community college would not transfer over into UT.
The first time I got the call, I was in Atlanta doing a marketing internship, so I had to end that early to come back to Texas. That's the biggest challenge I've ever had to face here.
I was under pressure to find a job as quickly as I could, and once the grants end and your scholarship money runs out, then it's time to pay bills, it's time to just work 9 to 5. And so really what the grant did for me was allow me the freedom to breathe a little bit. As
somebody who's received the grant, it really took a lot off my heart.
It gave me that peace of mind that I still have a job because I have to pay for housing, of course, but I can focus more on how I would give back to the community.
This grant makes that dream that you think is a mile, 2-3 miles down the line, it's right in front of you.
All the worries I had, but I knew that this wasn't one. And then when I got to hold my degree a few weeks ago, I just cried because it's just man.
I'm just so thankful that there are people who want to help me out, which make me in turn want to help other people out, lift other people out of my community.
You'll never know the impact of your donation until, say, 5 years down the line, when someone is established in the world and they didn't just get the first job, they've have offers because they have that degree. And so I think if you're thinking about donating or you've already donated, then you've helped someone who was struggling to try to make ends meet to now jumpstart their career. These grants have just helped me complete my dream, finish my dream that I came to UT to complete.
So that particular video we made with a goal in mind, obviously to increase our ability to give more completion grants. I am, because not only are we working with individual donors to raise more funds, but we are really fortunate that the University Co-op has agreed to support completion scholarships. And what you see here are the information on their digiboards and a pull-off $1, $3, and $5 donation at every register. And every dollar that they get, these are just roundups on t-shirts and spirit items. They do really well on football game weekends. Goes to support our completion scholarships.
And folks, just really quickly, they did this in partnership with us with a deliberate commitment to support students. So it's also another way that our entire community is coming together. We should also mention this is intended for parents who might have money and tax executives who might have money. They're not soliciting from students. They
Right.
want all of everybody else.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. They definitely are, as I mentioned, they make a good effort on football weekend when there's a lot of folks in town who are spending a lot of money on burnt orange paraphernalia. So not just completion scholarships, but also leavers. Thanks to our recent leavers study, which you will also hear more about later this morning, we identified high priority students who left UT within sight of their degree completion. Through direct outreach to those students, 40 students were able to be graduated simply by getting them to fill out in absentia paperwork. That's all we had to do. Just a piece of paper stood between students and a diploma. That's mind-blowing, right? It's almost an entire % of our grad rate of students who had complete degrees, who were floating out there. Their last requirement hadn't been finished here at UT, it had been finished somewhere else. And we had everything we needed except a piece of paper. But some of the other students identified in the Leaver study who left near the end of their degree told us they just needed to know someone cared if they ever came back. They also told us that they didn't know if they were welcome back, and that they didn't understand how to have their degree conferred after they left UT. Now we can say to ourselves, they should know. But a student-centered campus will say, how can we examine our systems, our messages, to make sure that students know they matter and that we are here to help no matter what? A recent analysis of students who didn't graduate in 4 years reveals some other startling information. From the FTIC 2015 class, the students whose 4-year graduation would have been this May or this August, 71% of them have a progress to degree of 90% or more, meaning they are within 1 semester of completing. 13% of those students were delayed by major changes. And our internal transfer committee will launch this month to create better systems and policies to help support students who do transfer. I also want to make sure, let's clap about internal transfer. I also want to make sure that we don't forget that we have a substantial population of transfer students who've also benefited from the success work that all of you have done. Our transfer 3-year graduation rate continues to rise to more than 55% after languishing well below 50% for most of the last decade. And the 4-year graduation rate for transfer students now exceeds 80%. Transfer students are sometimes forgotten in this conversation, but they have definitely benefited from the work that we're doing as a campus community. As Rachel mentioned earlier, we've raised our 5- and 6-year graduation rates to record highs at or above 85%, and this is great news. And for the 2nd year in a row, we've essentially eliminated the gap between the 5th and 6th year. More plainly put, if we can keep a student here retained at UT through their 4th year, we can get them graduated in 5. But we'll never achieve our 70 for all goals if we only focus on graduation. We have to also focus on keeping students here too. Too many of our students leave UT before they can complete their degree, approximately 15% of our students. And we have a higher proportion of late leavers. Late leavers are students who leave after they've completed 3 years, more than our peer institutions do. And our challenge is that until recently, we didn't have a good handle on why students leave and what we can do about it. We know students leave for family issues, finances, to transfer to another school, or even to go pro. And we know there are many things we can still do to improve students' persistence. What's one of those things? One of the most simple things we can do is learn our students' names. That's right. Learning and using your students' names improves persistence in graduation. Data from our own research affirms this. In a recent analysis of data from the 2017 SERU, that's the Student Experience in the Research University survey, for each unit increase in response to the question, I have a professor that knows my name, a student's odds of probation or dismissal decreased by 15%. Most importantly, having more than one faculty member who knew their name was statistically significant for first-generation and Asian students in predicting on-time graduation. Knowing their name. The science behind how knowing students' names improves student success relates to the power of the sense of belonging. When someone knows you by name, calls you by name, you are more likely to feel that you belong. And feeling like you belong has important implications for student success. There's a strong body of literature around the importance of sense of belonging. Students who report a strong sense of belonging are more committed to their institutions, are more likely to be retained, and are more likely to persist to graduation. In the survey that I mentioned earlier, SERU, for every unit increase in student self-report to the question, I feel like I belong, the student's odds of leaving the university without a degree decreased by 22%. The effects of feeling like you are known carry well beyond graduation. In a recent UT Austin alumni survey conducted by the Gallup organization, respondents were asked to rate their rate of thriving in well-being That is having a purpose, feeling well in the domains of social, financial, community, and physical wellness. And one undergraduate experience strongly relates to the likelihood of alumni thriving in more of those well-being elements, having had a professor who cared about them as a person. The feelings of being known, of being seen, matters immensely to us as human beings. That's why we have name tags on today. Each of us has experienced the joy of being recognized by name, especially when we least expected it. And here's a call to action for all of us, not just for our faculty. Learn and use your students' names. When you do, you improve the likelihood that your students will be successful. Another one of the ways that we're making it clear to our students that they belong is through financial support. The expansion of the Texas Advance Commitment, as Rachel already mentioned, will now provide in-state undergraduate students with need from families that earn up to $65,000 a year to receive financial assistance to completely cover their UT tuition. That's a pretty powerful sense of belonging, isn't it? And students with financial need from families with incomes up to $125,000 will also receive some amount of assured aid. We know that student debt impacts upward economic mobility substantially, and we're grateful to the Board of Regents and President Fenves for the hard work on this effort. And with this expansion of aid, and by reducing time to degree, we're all able to help students save money. We can do this. We can achieve 70 for all. We know we can. The efforts of our campus over the last several years have fundamentally transformed our culture to one that prioritizes students and their success. And good news for all of our job security, this work doesn't have a finish point, right? There will always be barriers to remove and students to better serve. And our students are always evolving in the ways in which we must reach them, communicate with them, guide them. We must also evolve. Our 4.5, 5, and 6-year graduation rates clearly demonstrate that what we're doing as a campus community is working. And our goal moving forward is to focus our efforts on closing those gaps completely and making 70 for all a reality on this campus. So how do we focus those efforts? Our success programs, advising structures, and co-curricular opportunities must continue to support students and get those who need help connected to the right resources. Let's work to keep more students enrolled at UT so that even more students have a chance to graduate. And as Rachel mentioned, our nation-leading 95.7% first to second year retention rate, we continue to lose students in years 2 to 3 and 3 to 4. And our Leavers study has gathered information from these students, and together we can examine those lessons to use our lessons learned to build in touch points and conversations with students at their most vulnerable times to ensure that they're connected with all of the supports available to them. And while much of the focus on student success is about creating and connecting our students to resources, our work will continue on removing barriers that get in the way of student success. We have an obligation to design the university so that any student can be successful, not just those with privilege and capital. Even with all of the enthusiasm and passion in the world, we cannot make these changes alone. We continue to need an entire campus partnership to do this. And that's what today's all about. So our whole day is designed for us to consider the barriers that remain and to think critically about how we might want to remove them. So I want to take just a minute to tell you about the structure for the rest of the day, and then we'll take a short break before moving into our breakout sessions at 10 a.m. Each of you should have an agenda on your spot at the table, and if you don't have one, raise your hand and we'll make sure to get one to you. We've designed 2 tracks. We have an extended breakout session from 10 a.m. to noon. This is a highly participatory session, and we're going to keep it limited to just 50 of you so that we can have productive conversations, right? And this session is for those of you who want to continue the conversation and actively engage in a session to really discuss and break down barriers to student success. You will play a very active role in co-creating this session, so be prepared for work. So if you want to work, be engaged, have a conversation. The extended session will last the whole 2 hours from 10 to noon. For the more traditional breakout session, for those of you that want to learn and hear more about some of the things we've talked about today, we've got a more traditional breakout. 2 presentations at each hour. At 10 a.m., you can participate in one of 2 different learning sessions, learning about the MAPS grant and the best practices learned from that national research study on academic advising efficacy, and a presentation from the First Generation Commitment Working Group to hear more about our efforts across campus to connect with and support our first generation students. In the second breakout at 11 a.m., we'll invite you to hear more about our Leavers study and some of the lessons learned we've been having and from the data we've reviewed. Or our one-stop shop, Texas One Stop, will share an update on their rollout, including lessons learned, preliminary data, and incorporating new technologies to better serve our students. I know that some of you have a very busy day, and so we invite you to participate in as much as your schedules permit, and we look forward to the conversation, insights, and next steps that today will bring. Before we move and conclude here to our breakouts, we want to give you a sneak peek of our next Student Success Symposium. Mark your calendars now for Friday, January 17th, 2020, for our Spring Student Success Symposium. We want to enhance the culture of sharing great ideas and starting new ones, and we want to hear from you. We want to celebrate you. And our Spring Symposium will revolve around your innovations. A call for proposals will follow today's convening. This call for proposals will give you a chance to showcase the important work that you and your unit are doing to support student success. And we want lots of proposals. The entire symposium will be curated from the proposals from you all. And we want to showcase and highlight the great work that's happening all over campus. So keep an eye out for that email, and please, please, please propose a session. We also know that many of you are making incredible strides in success, both directly supporting students and in the areas that support our efforts through other avenues, perhaps behind the scenes. So we are also unveiling our inaugural Student Success Awards. A call for nominations for the awards will also go out next week, and we have 2 different award categories. A Student Success Champion is on the ground working directly with students and events, programs, and initiatives supporting their success. This might be an advisor, student development specialist, program coordinator, or another role directly impacting students in their success at UT. Our Student Success Advocates work behind the scenes to impact student success on the 40 acres. They may be creating supporting technologies, analyzing data, or in a largely administrative role, making a difference on the way students achieve success on campus. We'll invite you to nominate these success champions and success advocates for awards to be presented in the spring. And details about the nomination process and deadlines will all be sent to you next week. Together, we know that we can continue making Austin, UT Austin, known as champions of student success. I really want to thank you for taking time today. It's a busy Friday. I know many of you are itching to head out to ACL after we're done. And so I really want to thank you for your support and your efforts at student success.